Hi, students. This purpose of this video and the corresponding computer program is to show the difference between what's called a global variable in C++ and a local variable. In general, global variables are bad, but they are at this level of your knowledge, probably they are convenient and just easier to use a global variable than to do things the right way and only use local variables. So here's the illustration. In this program, it's not really a game. It's a game waiting to happen. We have in the top area of the program, below the area where you should always have the signpost comment statement imports, and below that, you have constants, which right now I don't want to talk about the fact that constants are almost always global, but let's focus on variables. Now, variables, the way I teach and code, and a lot of people, we name a variable with lowercase letters. So score, you can just tell is a variable, and player is a constant because it's an uppercase. Player is really not a constant because of that. It's because the word const, the keyword const, is out here to the left. Variables don't have the word const, so they're not constant. They don't have their seatbelt on. They can be thrown around the car, I guess. Yeah. They do have a data type, either int, double, perhaps string, but they don't have the word const. Anyway, so score. Score is 999. Okay, that's nice. We're setting score equal to 999 before the rest of the program executes just to make a point. Maybe this is a game where you take away points rather than you add points. So it's 999. Function declarations, which right now aren't the point of this video, really. And now we get to the main action. Main, the function called main. Within the function main here, inside of its curly braces, you see inside here, there's another variable that's being declared as an integer, kind of like up there. We gave birth to the variable score and set it equal to 999. Here, we are creating a variable named score and as an integer, a whole number, and putting 0 there. That is allowed, not necessarily good style, but that's allowed. Because this score has what's called local scope. This score has what's called global reach or global scope. So they're really two different variables that just happen to have the same name. This one sort of lives in New York City, but this one lives in New York State, which surrounds New York City and overlaps it, but it's a wider scope, as we say. Here, it's more narrow scope. Now, the real problem is on line 38, when we print perhaps this game score at some point of action, right here, because I did not put double quotes around the letters SCORE, a 0 prints out. Because the C++ reaches back to the most recent declaration of score, and that's the score that prints out to the right of the score is. Now, this score, remember, exists, but it's a different variable. It's at a different spot in the memory of the computer. How would you print this? Well, there's a way to do it, but I don't want to show you how to print that one, the value stored there, 999, because I really don't want you doing this and using global variables with the same name as a local variable. I'll continue to, though, muddy the waters. I, furthermore, am printing out the score down here at the end, which is still 0. So here, 0 prints out. Here, 0 prints out. But why does 999 print out in between? One of these functions apparently they're all being called. One of them is apparently responsible for printing score equals 999. I bet it's this one here called display status panel. but we don't know. That is sort of like bad karma to be printing out stuff that we don't know what it prints out. In other words, you don't really know about this global variable when you're focusing on this code. So this little side effect might not be desirable, the fact that that's printing out there. So let's deep down look at the function body for display status panel. It's way down here, and there it is. Cout status panel : score equals score. That copy of score is the global one and not the one that's declared in this set of curly braces. Because this copy of score was declared here, its narrow scope disallows and prevents it from being printed here. So the computer's smart, C++, and it knows that this is the one that's 999, and that you can't print the one that's here. You can't even, there's no hack way to do it. You just can't. Again, this is just totally confusing. You should not be doing stuff like this. You shouldn't be using global variables in this situation. If you do use a global variable, then put a prefix in front of it, perhaps a lowercase g, in which case I might capitalize the S. And then it's more clear. But they really have different names. So at that point, you have solved your problem in a different way. So the program still runs nicely, but G-score is different from just plain score. So there's no confusion. I want to stress also that if you don't have the data type int here, and let's pretend that we were back to just using the original name score in all the different places. Now what we have on our hands, you'll soon see when I execute the program right now, we now have just one variable. We don't have two different ones. Here's why. This one is temporarily 999 because it was sort of declared as an integer and set equal to 999 at the top of the program. This line of code is an assignment statement and not a declaration statement. It is assigning and overwriting the value 0 into the variable score from right to left, overwriting that 999 before it gets printed. Only if you type int here would you be creating a second variable that has a 0 in it that's different from the one that you created here specifying int that has 999. So you can really, really confuse the heck out of yourself if you use the same variable name spelled the same way in situations like this. Okay, I hope that clears up the technical difference between a global variable having a wide scope throughout all of your code versus a local one. You can have a local variable named score in each of these functions, but that just further muddies the water even more because now you have a bunch of like mini-me's and just one, Austin Powers or whatever his name was. Mini-me, and then just one big me. Okay, so that's it. I'm putting Humpty Dumpty back together again. There's the program if you want to mess with it and just really, really understand the difference between global variables and local variables.